speaks to them and he says, if you will repent, I'll do a great work. And I believe right here in 2011, God is saying to the church world, if you will repent, I'll do a great work in your lives again, because you're not living up to everything I've called you to be. I believe that. Thank you, Lord. Joel chapter 2 is also a book. The reason I think it's so fitting to where we're at today, because Joel chapter 2 is also a book about sanctification. So it speaks of the New Testament and where we're at today as a church. He says, he told the people, you need to get that stuff out of you. And then God spoke to me and said, the reason this book is so fitting about seasons, because you'll never be what you're supposed to be until you get the stuff out of you that's been hindering your life. Some of you, you're not changing. Lord, help me to say this with love. Let me talk real quietly so you don't think I'm mad. Maybe that preacher I talked about last week. Here it is. Some of you, you're waiting for due season. But some of you have not seen your season change yet, because you'll never see the things that God has promised you until you live a life that is pleasing to God.
Amen.
God refuses to have dual citizenship in your life.
Amen.
You either are a citizen of heaven or a citizen of this world, but you can't be a citizen of both. And God, man, I feel this. God can't give you the things of the citizenship of heaven while you're living in the citizenship of the world. And not all of you. Some of you are waiting for due season, but some of you haven't seen a shift yet, because like the people of Joel, God said it's time to get that stuff out of you. So I believe it's so fitting. If we're going to see our season change, both individually and corporately, we've got to get some stuff out of us. Amen.
Amen.
Then Joel chapter 2 is so fitting, I believe, because it fits to the day, because it's a book not only of salvation and sanctification, but Joel chapter 2 also speaks of the baptism of the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
In Joel chapter 2, it was almost like, I know he was speaking directly to Judah, but through that he was also speaking to the New Testament church, which is us today. And he speaks about pouring out his Spirit and how the season was going to change. And he said there will come a day that once you repent and once you get it all cleaned out of you, not that we'll ever be perfect, but once you repent and get your lives cleaned up, God said, I'm going to pour out upon you my Spirit.
Hallelujah.
And he said, I'm going to do it. Not just some. You see, what's been happening up to this point, why I know this word is a word yet to be fulfilled, is you see sporadic moves of God in the church.
Yes.
Meaning, well, let me show you like this. Here's how I know, God, that this word is yet to be fulfilled. I know some of it was fulfilled on the day of Pentecost, but not all of it was fulfilled. We've yet to see. You see sporadic moves in the church where maybe Darren will get it over here, and then behind him somebody's sitting there, looking, acting like nothing's happening in the service. I'm just trying to be, and somebody on the next row gets a woo, and the next row acting like nothing is happening. So what God said, you know what? That's not what I want. He said, in the last days, I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh. Everyone is going to see it. Does that mean everyone will feel the power of God? No. But what he's going to do, those who doesn't clean up their lives and get sanctified, he'll remove them out of the way. But before the great and terrible day of the coming of the Lord, I believe we're going to see a move of God where all flesh is going to, the Bible says, your sons and daughters will prophesy. And it talks about this great experience of God. And I believe this is just building up why I'm going to give you these points in Joel 2. And I believe that Joel 2 is speaking to the church today, because lastly it speaks of the coming of the Lord. Talks about the day when the sun is darkened, the moon is darkened. And it said in that day, it calls it the great and terrible day of the Lord, where God executes judgment on those who have not followed his word, and what we know as the time of tribulation. But there's a long period, or I believe a shorter period now, between that time when God pours out his Spirit on all flesh in Joel 2 and 28, to the time when the judgment or the wrath of God is revenged upon the earth for their sins in Joel 2 and verse number 30. And in between that, I believe, is the season, why I'm preaching a change season, that we're beginning to shift in now, that before the coming of the Lord, before Joel 2, chapter number 30 happens, and the great and terrible day of the Lord is fulfilled, we're going to have to see the great outpouring. And there's some things about Joel that he speaks about their season changing that I want to speak to you today and give you